Frankie, welcome.
Thank you so much.
You guys are going to see the look on her face. This is amazing. Welcome, episode 4, Warren Melissa on the couch. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. It's very cool to be invited.
We're super excited. For those who don't know, Frankie, multiple SA downhill champion, Enduro champion, multiples.
XC road marathon in my past
Did you like
lifetime.
the South African Pauline Ferrand-Prévot?
No, I wouldn't quite say that.
That's amazing. I never knew that about you.
It was when I was a junior, so
It still counts.
It's where I started back with the cross country, and then I only started with the downhill when I was 21, 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so let's go back and let's start in the beginning. Obviously, people have seen you out there and you're an inspiration to a lot of people, and that's fantastic. And I know you like this down to earth, just want to ride your bike and have fun. But people look at you, and the thing that comes with the success is the fact that you put on this center stage and people see you and want to be like you. So, but people don't know who you are. So, I mean, who is Frankie? How did the cycling thing get started? I mean, I know your parents are cyclists.
Yeah, so I ride because my parents ride. Our whole family rides. Grew up riding first on the back of their bikes and then got my own bike. And I was always very, very competitive. So I'm the youngest in the family. It's just my sister and I and then my parents. And I hated being at the back and would fight to be at the front. And
what champions are made of.
my parents would just drag us to the local races when they would go and ride, and they would give us 10 Rand and say, do your 10K and buy a Boerewors roll when you get back, and we'll see you in a couple of hours while we go to the 60.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And I was just fiercely competitive. So I would just, give it my all. And sort of through that rose through racing to the local 10Ks, to the 20s, to the XC, because that's where the competitive side of cycling, cross country is. And I really loved that and loved the atmosphere around that and the racing, and so focused on that for quite a while.
That's amazing. So there was no downhill back in the day for Frankie Du Toit.
No, I was absolutely terrified of the technical stuff. Didn't even want to ride off a pavement. I was petrified. That was for sure my weakness when I was racing cross country. I don't really know what happened, but yeah.
Wow. Because if I look at, we've watched you at a couple of events now, that's very far removed from the Frankie of younger days.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I've come a long way with that. I don't really know what happened. I had a few very good mentors throughout the years for the technical side of things, or because I was just really nervous. I was a really nervous rider, and that slowly I like the adrenaline of it as well. So I think that sort of drew me to it, and once I got over that fear, I could push myself into it a little bit more.
Is there anyone who stood out as a mentor? I mean, someone that you could...
Weirdly enough, Tiffany Keep, who has just been selected for the Olympics now, which is very cool. Her and I used to ride together, and her dad sort of was my first mentor within the sport. And Tiffany's an incredible technical rider, and her dad would take me riding on the weekends sometimes.
Cool.
And he really stands out in my mind as someone who really helped me overcome a lot of my fears and made me more comfortable on a bike. Old Tim Keep, he did a lot for me. And then I had some good coaches when I was racing, and that also helped me enjoy the bike and love it a bit more. So So
you've killed it all the way. I mean, as humble as you are, it's amazing to chat about it and reflect back and just see like all the success that has come with it and the impact that you've made to people watching you. But you've become champion at cross country and at road and all of these things. You build up this technical knowledge, and then you make the jump to downhill, which is like on the other side of the spectrum.
I always really admired the downhill riders. I just wanted to be like them. I thought they were so cool. I liked the boys, especially. I had a good eye for them. And then,
as one does,
as one does when you're 17. And I was racing cross country very competitively. I'd given up going to university to pursue it, and then after a couple of years decided to go to university and had some good years racing, but then I think I just got a bit burnt out, and I was really struggling with the training and struggling to push myself through it. And then I got 2 injuries in the same year, just an overuse injury that put me off the bike for a couple of weeks. And then when I was just getting back into it, I tore my PCL on my knee. Then I was out for 4 months. And my sponsors at the time dropped me and pulled the sponsorship. So I had no bikes, and I didn't really know what to do or where to go from there. And it sort of gave me time to step back and sort of, where do I want to go with this, and is it worth the sacrifice? And then my parents very kindly said, well, we'll help you get a bike. And they got me a trail bike, just to sort of, enjoy the sport again. And that trail bike really got me, I entered some Enduros.
Your
and
first
I was
sponsorship.
Yeah, thanks, Mom and Dad. But it was, I did some Enduros and I absolutely loved it. And then I really wanted to do downhill, but I was so intimidated. I didn't really have any friends that did downhill. So I actually went to a couple of events just by myself, and went and just didn't even compete. I just watched it. I got to know people, and then I helped the timers at the time, Greville and Sharon. I sat with them and did the timing and sort of just got comfortable with the environment. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. And
it's a different, I'd say, comfortable with the environment, but it's so different to XC.
Yeah, it's very different to XC, and it's quite intimidating. Like, I understand everyone's like, oh, there's no girls that do downhill, and I'm like, well, it's incredibly intimidating. It's a very different environment to anything else, and so I completely understand. It took me a lot to build up my courage to come to an event, and I know that sounds silly, but at the time it was very intimidating, and I'm glad I did. And
I mean, look where it's got you.
Yeah. But so actually, Porty was the one who sort of made me go, you should probably try downhill, because I went for a skills lesson with him, and we did a section on Armageddon with all those rocks in the middle, and I was on a hardtail, and he was like, I don't know why you came to me, you just did that perfectly, like, why don't you just come and do downhill? And I was like, no, I couldn't do downhill. And he was like, I think you could do downhill. And I was like, nah. And he was like, just come try, because I'd known him, we went to Worlds together when I was racing cross country, and he was on the team as well, and he sort of encouraged me to try.
So we've got Porty coming on to this podcast in September when he's back.
That's so cool.
So we're going to ask him about all the gory details about how you got Frankie into downhill racing.
He does take credit for it.
No, but that's amazing. So there's obviously lots to chat about, but before we get to that point, so you felt a bit intimidated coming into the sport. If you could give anyone some encouragement to get into downhill right now, what would your words be to them?
So if you're a girl, I think it's different for girls and boys. If you're a girl, find a friend and do it with them. So it doesn't necessarily have to be another girl. It can be another guy, just so that you're not there by yourself. And it's different. You're unsure of where everything is and how it works and the layout. And so just to have someone else that either has been through it before or just is a little bit more comfortable with it, or just someone else you're experiencing it with for the first time, I think makes a big difference.
Okay.
Also, if you're not 100% sure, go to an event, meet the people, and then try it out the next time. So I think it's not as intimidating as it looks once you get into it. Everyone's super friendly. I think more friendly than a lot of other disciplines.
Very much so. Yeah.
So just try. I really think the tracks are also, a lot of the tracks that we race here in South Africa aren't actually that technical. It's just, the faster you go, obviously, the harder it becomes.
Well, as it is with most trails.
Exactly. So I think a lot of what we race is actually very doable. I think people would be surprised. So I think it would be a lot easier to do than people realize.
Yeah. I think if I could give anyone a bit of encouragement, I think for the next Yonkers Enduro, we're going to do a little bit of a Frankie groupie. and we'll do a little bit of meetup at Yonkers. And for me, I love that track. It's like my spiritual home, that place. But yeah, I think we need to get people there just to see that it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, it really isn't. And as I said, the community is just so welcoming. Everyone just loves it when people ride and enjoy bikes. Everyone's there because they like to ride their bikes. So one more person enjoying it is good.
There we go. And I think it's the same on the enduro side. Like it was a massive thing for us. Super intimidating for Melissa, who's never ridden a bike before, but enjoyed the technical riding, and then getting into enduro, and people were just like, it was like being at home.
Yeah.
It was like just another Saturday trail ride.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like, oh, pull in, let's have a beer. Okay, all off to the ride. But but yeah, it's just like, it's so different to cross country where people are coming in and they're dressed in their leotards and stuff. And just like everyone's looking at you in the corner of their eye going, I'm going to beat you up. And it's just so different.
I also think the nature of the sports is very different. Cross country, you're lining up with your competitors and it's you versus the person next to you. Whereas in enduro and downhill, it's very much you versus the trail. Yeah. And it's only afterwards it's comparing time. So it's a lot easier to be friendly with them because you're not directly racing them.
Didn't ever think of it that way. That's so cool.
Yeah, so I think that makes a big difference. But also, enduro is just the best part about riding put into an event. It's enjoying the downhills, going as hard as you can, and then just cruising the uphills and talking rubbish.
And catching up. No, it's so cool. So, Frankie, I need to ask. You go to Worlds at probably the toughest track. Sorry, we got Charlie and Melissa in the back room. You'll hear that. Sorry about that. You go to the toughest track on probably the calendar with the longest rock garden I've ever seen in my entire life. And you don't have much chance to practice it. I mean, you're flying in, a day or two before the event?
Which one are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, Great Britain.
Fort William.
William.
Yeah.
You don't have much time to practice it. How do you approach something like that?
Yeah, it's so different. So for Fort William, I had been the previous 2 years as well. So I had a little bit more of an idea.
Okay.
And what makes me a little bit more comfortable is just spending more time on my bike. So I went up a week before the team, or 5 days before the team got there, and I stayed with friends of ours just south of Fort William, and I went and shuttled for 4 days at various bike parks in the area. So not necessarily the same thing as Fort William, but just being on my bike. Yeah. And then come practice, I mean, you have a couple of hours and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to learn this track from scratch, and these pros that have been racing this track for 12 years and you're trying to, figure it out for the first time, which it's super intimidating. But track walk helps you a bit with that, and you sort of understand where it's going. And also, to be honest, there is so much content out there nowadays. You can sort of know the track before you even go there just by watching everyone's POVs from previous years. So that helps a lot as well. So I watched a lot of content from previous years, and then you just have to take it piece by piece and do what you can, really. No. It's interesting you saying that. For me, like with Greg being on the team, did he give you any input? He's obviously king of the track. So do those kind of guys reach out and help at all? Or? So Greg, not so much, just because he is in his setup. He doesn't stay with the team. He stays with his factory team and tries and gets the best chance of performance, which makes sense. Also, they're in a different practice to us. So we're in B practice. All the girls are in B practice with juniors and women. And then the men are in an A practice. So they have a different time slot to us, The person I think who helps the most is Teo. He is, I don't think people realize how much he actually helps South African riders that go over. He has so much advice. He always has time for the riders. He He is
Big
definitely.
shout out, Mr. Erlingson.
Yeah, I think he tries to go with this hardcore persona, but he's actually way nicer than he comes across. And he's helped me out a lot when I have been over. So
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, what more do you want than like your teammates having your back?
Yeah,
It's,
I think
yeah.
all the boys that are over there doing the privateer thing and racing, they have so much time for all the other South Africans that try and do it or come over for Worlds, and their eyes are this big trying to figure everything out. So it's really cool. Yeah.
My goodness. And I'm getting like hot flashes here just chatting about this. And then, Leger. What are the parties like?
Oh my gosh. Not the question I was expecting, but pretty big. I've never seen so many people just going absolutely off their heads. It's the whole town literally shuts down. There's not one car going through that town. There's all the streets, everything is just people. It is crazy. We were standing behind sort of where the hot seat is.
Yes.
So when the three Frenchies got escorted to the actual podium, they came sort of round where we were standing, and they had like 20 police escorts trying to like keep the crowds away from them, and it was insane.
We watched that on TV. It was mental on TV. I can't imagine what it was
my
like
gosh.
being there.
It was one of the most unreal experiences of my life to be there. And then obviously the after party was really good as well.
How do the after parties work? I mean, are there just like a bunch of parties throughout the town and you just make an appearance at all of them? Or?
I think in Leger specifically, there's just so much going on. Every club, every pub, every bar, every place, there's something. I mean, all the pits also, they just, generally the common style pits get pretty wild as well. Sorry.
Give you some extra cable there.
So I don't really know. I just follow the other riders and see what happens. But yeah, it was pretty good.
How's the head the next morning?
Yeah. I mean, could be better. Definitely always a shock to the system when you're traveling the day after a race.
Yeah.
And
So you guys fly back the very next day?
So Leger and then Val de Sol, I did that last year at Fort William. My parents live in the UK, so we actually did a bikepacking trip through the Highlands.
I saw some photos that looked amazing.
Yeah, so that was pretty good.
So your sister's that side as well?
So my sister's husband is in the UK. My sister's here waiting for a visa. Long, red tape visa
Are
stories.
you going to do the jump?
I don't think so. I really like South Africa.
Yeah.
You can have a really good lifestyle here.
Yeah.
The weather's good, the riding's good, the people are good. I think the one benefit of being in the UK is you're a lot closer to where the good riding is in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more accessible. But I don't know if I could do the weather.
I don't know. Melissa and I had a couple of opportunities last year and the year before to move over. But I was saying, like, it's so difficult. Charlie she's like an outside person like we are.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can look out our door and see Tygerberg and be able to jump on a bike and go ride and know that it's not going to be raining for 10 months. I don't know. It's a difficult one because we've got so much good here and we can do so much good.
Yeah.
Talking about doing good. You are working for a bike shop.
Yes.
Hellsend Bike Shop.
Yes.
So a lot of the listeners will probably know Hellsend Bike Park or Hellsend Dirt Compound. Let's get the wording right there. Hellsend Dirt Compound is a feedback farm in Stellenbosch, and it's a bunch of private trails owned by who's the owners?
The owner is Sebastian Klaassen.
Sebastian Klaassen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And his son is kind of the person looking after the farm right now?
No. So Justin Novella, the trail builder, sort of runs the trails.
Okay.
The park was started while Ike was riding very seriously and sort of, so that he could have a place to ride as well. And they opened that up to the public. Which is really cool. Yeah, they've built something absolutely incredible there.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It's our own piece of heaven in Cape Town. Yeah.
It's one of the biggest benefits of working for the bike shop is having access to the farm. So
you guys have access to ride it when you...
yeah, we have a lot more access than the public, which is really nice.
Yeah. I suppose for you as well to get some practice in and ride your downhill bike.
Of course.
There's not many places in Cape Town to ride a downhill bike, so
Yeah. That's the one. So I grew up in KZN and moved down here. And that's the one thing about KZN is there's a lot more free shuttling. Whereas here, most of the tracks are on private land or so shuttling is a little bit more restricted, which is
and I mean
difficult.
Yonkers as well. I don't think they allow shuttling.
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah, so it's pedaling a 7-speed or 5-speed bike up.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's
E-bikes.
but tough. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But you then, we know the farm. How did the bike shop get started?
So the bike shop was actually there. It has been in Stellenbosch since 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, so under various different owners. And then I can't remember, a couple of years ago, Seb got involved and bought the bike shop over. I think more as a passion project than anything else.
Yes.
And yeah, we changed the name from, it was BMT, it's changed to Hellsend, just sort of in line with the farm. Yeah, and it's been going now as Hellsend since October 2020.
Wow. And you guys are killing it.
Yeah, thank you. We are doing our best. The bike scene in Stellenbosch is huge, so it's great.
It really does help.
We are, all the people that work there, we're all really passionate riders ourselves. So it's really nice to work with your friends and being able to ride with them. And yeah,
That's
really
absolutely crazy.
cool. Yeah.
So, fantastic rider. What's it like as a girl or a lady girl working in a bike shop? I mean, I know you're quite a quiet person. You like to stick to yourself to a degree. And you got all these people coming at you all the time and customers walking in. Like, how do you deal with that?
So I am an introvert, so being in such a customer-facing position is quite a challenge at times. But generally, you're dealing with people who also just like riding their bikes, so it's quite easy to interact and have some commonality.
Yes.
So that's quite nice. But yeah, I struggled in the beginning as a woman in the industry, just because I feel like I know what I'm talking about, but a lot of people don't always trust that.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it is what it is. So it took a while for our customers to sort of know that they could trust what I was saying as well. And still, every now and again, you'll get a customer come in and they ask for some help, and I'll give it to them, and then they'll be like, and they'll go ask one of my male colleagues, and they'll give them the exact same answer. And then I'm always like, well.
Yeah.
But I mean, every now and again, there's also, I'm like, oh, I actually don't know this. And then I do have to hand over.
But that's okay.
Yeah. So the guys I work with are really great, and they like, they keep things lighthearted, and they always have my back, which is
that's amazing, though. Do you think it's changing?
I do think so. There is definitely, I don't know if it's because I've been there for longer, so I'm a little bit more known, but there is definitely way less of that, or maybe I'm just so used to it now, I don't know. But I think more and more people are just coming to realize that people that are working in a bike shop know what they're talking about. Doesn't really matter
exactly.
who they are, yeah.
And that's crazy. So that was the whole reason our group rides got started, was we wanted to provide a safe space for riders to come, and then we would then partner with like All Mountain or whoever it is, get them to bring stock to the group rides.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then, especially for ladies and girls, and then get them to be able to browse and ask questions in an environment that is not
as intimidating. Yeah.
And that's what we try with those group rides. It's just a safe space.
Yeah.
People they feel intimidated going into a bike shop.
Yeah, I mean, I did as well. So I've been, from when I moved to Stellenbosch when I was a student, I've been going to BMT. So I knew the guys for a long time before I started working there. And I would go hang out there in between my lectures because they're just so easy to get along with. And I really liked that. I liked that I felt comfortable enough to be there. And they didn't, make fun of me if I didn't understand something or didn't know something. Well, they didn't make fun of me to my face. I don't know what goes on.
No, that's okay. You don't need to know that.
And I really like that I can be that person for another girl that's coming into the sport. And if they're unsure, they can ask me. It's not as intimidating asking another girl. So I feel like I hope that I can be that for someone. So I like being in that position.
I'm pretty sure you are. Well, let's go out of mountain biking and into gymming, because you're very big on the gym scene. I think half the posts on your Instagram is about gym and the other half's mountain biking. Really important for what you do, I take it.
Yeah. So I haven't always been so into the strength and gym side of it. A couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago now, I just felt like I wasn't strong enough on the bike, and I was trying to get a routine started, but it was difficult to do by myself. So I just sort of always kept it, just rode my bike. Yeah. And then one of my good friends owns a gym, and literally opposite the road from us. It's called Sky Gym. It's literally like a private studio, and she does class-based gyms and
gym classes.
Yes,
that one.
Gym classes. And they always started too late for me to join, and so I said to her, "Come on, why don't you do one before work?" And she was like, "Yeah, okay." So me, her, and one of her other friends started just gymming together, and it made such a big difference. I really couldn't believe it. And eventually she opened up those classes, and they're now massive. Massive. She gets consistently between 5 and 15 people, coming to classes in the morning. And we have a really big community. We all gym together and then go and drink coffee at the shop afterwards. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's and I noticed a very big difference on the bike. I could hold my position a lot better. I could take hits a lot better. I was just a lot more strong on the bike, and I really think it helped my riding a lot. And I really like the community that that has been created around that. And they've all become really good friends. So
I think what we should do is get those details of the gym, so we can put it in the comments below.
Yeah.
And people can reach out if they want to try it out. I think it'd be really cool. And we'll do the same with Hellsend. So we don't necessarily have to put Frankie as the contact, but we'll put the phone number and the email address down below. So please, if you're in the area, go check them out, go pop in. It's so cool chatting to you, Frankie. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we can go on and on and on, but we're not going to get into the gory details, and we'd love to have you back sometime. Onwards and upwards. I mean, you're doing the most amazing job, and it's, especially for Melissa, it's like super inspiration to see another lady that's just absolutely killing it, down to earth, humble, just a good human doing good things. It's refreshing. It's really cool.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, but
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And guys, we've got some really cool people coming up in the next episode. So keep watching, and we'll drop all Frankie's details, well, not hers, but the shop's details down below. And we'll see you for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Warren.